Superhero Week continues here on Wish TV. Some of the biggest shows you'll see this week have their series premieres. And many of those shows are based on comic book characters. The Flash, Arrow, Supergirl.
As Nina Criscolo explains, that's why even the most reluctant readers are turning to comic books.
Traditional books are black and white, and for many kids, that just doesn't keep the pages turning. But comic books pair print and pictures to pull the pupils in.
These are more of Japanese style books that you read backwards. It's the same thing as a comic book, but it has more of a story to it.
Jared Westcott spends much of his day in this chair, buried in a book.
All of these books over the years I've read.
He was even named Reader of the Week at Avon High School during last school year, but Westcott says he wasn't always soaring through the stories.
First, second grade, those were the years I just didn't like it. That and half the time the stories were not very entertaining.
But during a trip to a local bookstore, something different piqued his interest.
And I found these books in the back aisle. They were so much better.
And Westcott is far from alone.
We actually have a large collection in our school library of graphic novels so that we can meet the needs of those students.
And obviously the publishing.
Robin Young is the president of the Indiana Library Federation.
Reading is reading, and anything that improves our students' reading and reading ability we're all for that.
Young recently led a research project at Avon High School to study the effects of reading comic books, or as she calls them, graphic novels.
With every student who did participate, we found an increase in standardized test scores with them.
Pow! Just like that, kids who otherwise wouldn't pick up a book are flying through them one by one.
And then they will check out stacks of them at a time. Stacks and stacks.
Young says comic books shouldn't be considered a villain to traditional reading, but more of a sidekick. Graphic novels often have high reading levels and will lead children to pick up other genres.
What you find is that it becomes difficult for people who are used to reading standard types of reading to read the images and the words together. So it actually takes a very complex reader to read a graphic novel or a comic book.
It actually took me a little while to actually get used to trying to read them, just because they were backwards, and sometimes they would have words that I would have no idea.
In just 20 minutes a day, comprehension, vocabulary, even reading speed, all skills sharpened by a comic book craze. And for this student who once found himself losing the battle with books, he's hoping more parents will use heroes to inspire reading.
Just take your kids and explore with them. Maybe they'll find something you'll maybe think is a little kiddish, but overall it could actually be helping them succeed.
Nina Criscolo, 24 Hour News 8.
All this talk of superheroes has us thinking super